The OECD says France is the most heavily taxed country in the world. And starting in the new year, tech companies there may face even more taxes. France already has the highest corporate tax rate of any of its major neighbours. The French government still wants to attack and to take on Silicon Valley this week after trying and failing to get the EU to put a new tax on big tech. The French Finance Minister, Bruno Le Maire, said France will take matters into its own hands. From New Year's Day, France will impose its own digital tax, which will cost companies hundreds of millions of dollars. So our next question to you at cnn.com/join. Now, remember, 90% of you said they should pay, that they weren't paying enough, that they aren't being taxed properly. So, where should tech companies pay their taxes? Second part of the question. Firstly, the place of transaction. I bought you a present. I'm in London. You're in the United States. Secondly, the local headquarters, which is, for example, here in the UK, or in Luxembourg, if it's in Amazon's case, or the global headquarters, which is, for example, Seattle for Amazon, or would be, that's what you get the idea. The place of transaction where you've done it, the local HQ in Europe or wherever, or the global HQ. For the biggest companies, this new tax that France is intending, which of course is raised, they're going for the local tax, the local HQ. This new tax is a nuisance for smaller rivals. It's an opportunity. Jim Bittermann reports.
In the Paris suburbs, software developer Planisware has steadily grown over 20 years to more than 350 employees around the world, to global sales of 70 million euros, from which the company hands over 4 million euros to the French taxman.
Actually, we are paying more tax on Facebook.
So you can understand why the boss is aggravated that an internet giant like Facebook pays far less.
I think I've heard that Facebook is paying something like 2.8 million in last year. So I'm not sure it's fair. I think it's fair when you run a business in a country to pay tax in that country.
The French taxman, Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire, agrees. He announced that starting January 1st, the internet giants like the GAFAs, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and others, which have been avoiding French taxes by basing themselves in lower tax European countries like Ireland, will face more taxes in France on revenues that are earned here.
The money is with the digital giants who make considerable profits thanks to the French consumer, thanks to the French market, and who pay 14% less tax than other smaller companies.
The government estimates that the relatively needed in part because of the concessions made as a result of the Yellow Vest movement. Tax breaks and cost of living increases, which will cost an estimated 10 billion euros. Long before those protests, however, the French finance ministry back there tried to convince other countries in Europe to take collective action against the tax avoiders, but without success. Now, though, faced with increased budgetary pressures, the government here has decided to take action on its own and is confident that other countries in Europe, Germany for instance, will soon follow suit. CNN reached out to Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple, which for the moment are not commenting on the French move. Google France said it's waiting for details. But French-based companies are happy to see the government making moves to level the playing field. That certainly is the case at Stanley Robotics, a startup that's developing robotic parking systems. Its CEO, Clément Poussard, fully supports the government action.
We are all playing the same game, but you have to play with the same rules. Okay, so we consider that today, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, they are playing the same game but without the same rule. And I'm not happy with that.
Now he hopes those business giants will start paying the kind of taxes his startup does. Jim Bittermann, CNN, Paris.